Hello, welcome back to a SwansCast match preview. This week I'm going to be discussing Swansea City's trip up to Leeds United. We're going to visit Elland Road on Wednesday the 29th of November. A 7:45 in the evening kick-off. I'm sure many of you are aware, and some of you will be travelling. As you can see, I'm on my own this week. I don't often do videos on my own, and definitely not these match previews, but unfortunately I wasn't able to manage to get a chance to speak to the Leeds contact that I have. Unfortunately, he became ill and it wasn't possible to do that. So I'm going to try to do the best. It will be a long video, but we'll try and get some stuff out there for you to listen to ahead of the game. So obviously a little bit different. I can't talk about Leeds' year and then their kind of summer. They've got relegated from the Premier League, as we're all aware, and they're one of the three teams currently from last season's Premier League who have the parachute payments and are doing quite well really in the league as well. They're currently sitting in third, chasing the leaders Leicester and Ipswich down, and until their last game, which was a 1-1 draw, disappointing for them I think, away to Rotherham, they were on very good form, winning 6 of their last 7 games. Within that run, scoring quite a few goals, probably highlight scoring 4 against Huddersfield at home and beating Norwich 3-2 away from home as well. So going into this game as well, Daniel Farke has come out and said that he has no real injury concerns. I believe Stuart Dallas is the only person who is unavailable for selection from his team. There's a few players he's got returning back from injury. Jed Spence being one of them. None of the ex-Swans players look to be set to miss the game for any reason. Whether they start, obviously, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm sure many people will be excited to see those three pull the shirt on against the Swans, and that is Dan James, Joe Rodon, and of course Joel Perreault, who made his summer transfer to Leeds United, and he's getting some goals there as well, which is not the most nice thing to see from a Swansea fan's perspective. Going by their last game against Rotherham and their team selection there, the 3 of them all started, as well as Ethan Ampadu, obviously, who plays for Wales. So I would expect that we will see them all start again. Joel Perreault playing in a central attacking midfield role in that game behind Rutter up top. And yeah, so I mean, we quite often utilised him behind the striker, not necessarily as a forward, out and out forward, and that's where he's operating currently for Daniel Farke. Perreault's also chipped in with 6 goals for them this season. Dan James has got 4, but the one that stands out to me, and the player who I think, aside from the ex-player curse maybe striking us, the player I think we need to watch out for is Summerville, and I'm not going to attempt to say his first name because I'm not really sure how it's pronounced, but I think he's been setting the Championship alight and he's been putting in some really good performances for Leeds. Probably going to see him play on the left wing, I would imagine, but I think he can play anywhere really up top, up in the forward positions, and he's quite flexible with a rotator on the pitch and probably cause a bit of havoc, I think, with his trickery and skills. So he's definitely one to watch for Leeds United from their attack. So as I mentioned, Leeds are currently sitting 3rd in the league. They are chasing down the 2 leaders who've really significantly closed the gap in recent games. They're sitting on 32 points after 17 games played. They've won 9, drawn 5 and only lost 3, scoring 28 goals in the process and only conceding 17. Obviously they drew their last game and won the previous 3 before that. And they are sat on 32 points, which is 7 points behind second place Ipswich, who lost their last game. So we're going up to Leeds away, and I'm sure they will be really trying to continue their push to put pressure on Leicester and Ipswich in the automatic promotion places, as both of those 2 teams, you could argue, have dropped off their really strong form recently. They're obviously still doing quite well, but in terms of what they've put out before and how they've done this season as a whole, they could be in a bit of a blip, and Leeds will be looking to capitalise if there is any more slip-ups from either and close that gap down further as we head into the halfway point of the season and the very congested Christmas period, which often can be the cause of certain teams to lose a bit of momentum and potentially some games that you would have thought otherwise they would be comfortable in, just because of tiredness and fatigue, and maybe the squad depth starts to show if they haven't got enough there. So let's move on to Swansea now, and I know we haven't discussed it yet. The podcast this week is delayed, or it depends if we can work it out. We might not be able to get one done this week, but we will discuss the Hull result. But I'll briefly talk over it. Obviously, we all know we drew 2-2 after going 2-0 into the lead in the first half. Second half really was a bit disappointing. So yeah, 2 goals, obviously a positive, but 2 goals to concede shows there's still a lot of weakness perhaps in the defence. And, we don't have the most amount of options to be able to change a game when the momentum shifts. However, there has been something you could say that's been done to address that, or at least a low-risk attempt at addressing that, and that is the signing of Yannick Bolasie this week. I'm sure everyone has seen all over social media. 34-year-old who used to play for Crystal Palace, used to play for Everton in the Premier League. But he also had stints at Plymouth Argyle, for example. Some people might not know. He's signed for the Swans on a 2-month deal, I believe, short-term contract. I believe this is just because low risk. I'm not actually sure if you can sign players for longer than 3 months when you're outside of the transfer window, even if they're free, because that will take them into essentially the next transfer window, which is January. And I guess if he does well, there will be talks to extend at least till the summer, I would imagine. But if it doesn't go so well, he doesn't get on the pitch, he gets injured, maybe just isn't performing at this level anymore, I'm sure he'll be let go in that case. And 2 months, it's not really... I feel like there's nothing to lose just trying something like this. And he's got experience. He's probably not as quick. And I think Duff has alluded to that in recent conferences and interviews, that he's lost some of his pace, maybe a bit of his trickery, but I'm sure he can still be a valuable asset. I'm quite looking forward to seeing what he can offer. Whether he comes in here to start straight away, I'm not quite sure. I think it's difficult to come in straight away. He's obviously been without a club for a bit of a period of time since he left his last club in Turkey. So I'd imagine they'll want to at least see a bit of him in training, and probably an appearance off the bench is more likely to happen first. I say see a bit of him training. By all accounts, he's been training with the squad for a little bit before they did actually sign him. So maybe he is a bit more up to speed than we expected. But I still wouldn't have thought he will come in from the off here. So having said that, who might start the game? I don't expect to see many changes. I would imagine Liam Cullen maybe would get a look in to come back into the squad, whether that's Ollie Cooper that drops out and it goes back to the front four we've had for quite a few games now, I'm not sure. But maybe Ollie Cooper will keep his place if he's done enough from the Hull game. That's up to Michael Duff. I don't know if he's done enough all season necessarily, but I mean, perhaps it's his place to lose now and Cullen needs to work his way back into the squad. I would love to see Cooper get running the team just to see if he can pick up his form and get a little bit more consistency behind him. Harrison Ashby obviously went off injured in the last game against Hull, and Josh Key very fortunately was able to come on as a substitute in that game, making his return from injury. He didn't come on for Ashby because Ashby's injury was so early in the game. Key clearly didn't have the fitness to do that many minutes, but I'm interested to see whether he'll start here. I would suggest that Josh Key coming in the 86th minute means he probably isn't ready for 90 minutes. So whether Duff feels he can start the game and later subs him off, or maybe starts with Harry Darling in the right back position, who came on to sort of cover from Ashby when the injury happened. I guess time will tell, and we'll see tomorrow, which will leave the same back three otherwise of Timon, Humphreys and Cabango, I would assume anyway. The interesting debate here for me is Felton and Patino. A lot of people are surprised Patino didn't come back into the lineup, myself included, for a home match against Hull, where Felton remained in the centre midfield pairing with Matt Grimes. I'd imagine maybe Felton earned that on the back of his performance at Ipswich. Obviously got himself a goal, and I'd suggest, quieted some doubters up. But going away to Leeds, normally I would say Felton would be the one that would start, but that would be after Patino started the home game, and I wouldn't be so surprised to see the rotation based on Patino not really being able to do the amount of minutes required for the week in, week out, 3 games a week sort of fixture schedules. So it'll be interesting to see if Patino starts away from home. He obviously didn't come on as a substitute, so he will be fresh. I would imagine he'll get used even if he doesn't start. But I think he might come in to start here just for a bit of rotation. Obviously, we have got another game on the weekend against Huddersfield, so that'll be an interesting one to see which direction Duff takes there. The only other things to really say is Liam Walsh. I would love to see the guy start a game, but I don't think it's the time to do it at Leeds away. And then some of the other guys that featured on the bench in the last match against Hull, so we got Choa on, Congreve, and actually Kyril Wilson made his way onto the bench. These are players that we spoke about it in recent podcasts. Look, we'd love to see them come on. When we're 2-2 against Hull and you need to change your game, this is someone that can make a difference there, a bit of raw talent. He just doesn't seem to do it. So are they actually players in the squad that are going to contribute, or are they just there to fill seats at this point in time? And it's a disappointing conversation to have, but it seems that the latter is the case at the moment, and I would love to see a little bit more of them, even if it's 80 plus minutes in a game. Maybe you could argue we haven't had the luxury in many games where we're comfortable and can take the risk of putting someone on in case it doesn't quite work out. I think a lot of managers maybe have that mentality behind it, but you could also look at it the other way, where maybe chucking one of them on makes the difference and makes them as a player and brings them into the team, and you're never going to find out if you don't give them a chance. Also, Matt Grimes, think he deserves a mention here. We spoke about some of the ex-Swans that are going to be wearing opposition colours going into this game. Don't forget, Matt Grimes had a stint on loan at Leeds United that really didn't work out well for him and dented his confidence massively at the time. He spoke about that period. I believe we've heard his mother speaking about the period and how he wasn't really treated the best and he didn't have a good time when he went to Leeds. So I think this is always a big game for him because he's come a long way since. You know, he's been Swansea through and through since he's come into the team. He's the captain. And I guess it's like, you know, this is what I can do sort of a situation for Matt Grimes. So I'd love to see him go there with a point to prove, as I always think he wants to do. And if he can contribute to us getting a good result, you know, that would be amazing. Speaking of the result, I do think this is a tricky game. I've already spoke about Leeds and what their aspirations are, hunting down the top two. Unfortunately, I don't think we are really in the same boat. You could argue we're looking over our shoulders a little bit more. I don't think we're really looking over our shoulders at relegation. I think they are a little bit too far away, a little bit too adrift. Famous last words, touch wood. I think we're in a midfield battle. We definitely need to pick up the pace a little bit if we don't want to be stuck bottom half. But this is definitely going to be a tough game. And bonus if we can get anything here. So I would really, really love a draw. Obviously, a win would be absolutely outstanding. But my heart is telling me this one's going to be a defeat. I don't know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to get a win here, and I'm sure everyone would, but I'm sure a lot of people might be going into the bookies and putting a couple of quid on one of the three named former players to contribute to that ex-player curse that so often bites Swansea after they leave and come back to score, even if it's a player that can't seem to score anywhere else. Seem to want to do it against their former club when it's Swansea. So let me know what you think about this game. Are you excited? You're going up to Elland Road. I know a lot was said about the ticket in here as well. We are going to discuss that in the next podcast, but I did tweet out yesterday, if you haven't seen it already, Leeds United, look, they negotiate with a lot of every club this reciprocal pricing offer, and Swansea got a lot of stick for not being able to negotiate terms and come to an agreement with Leeds. Which, okay, that's fair. You could look at it that way. But the way I like to look at it, or the way I have looked at it based on the information I've received, and I'm in contact with creators from every club now in the championship, and they've all been speaking about this issue with their respective clubs with this reciprocal pricing. And very, very few have managed to negotiate with Leeds, and where they have, usually it's a compromise to the club that's negotiating with Leeds. So essentially Leeds are coming in with this offer and it's this or nothing. There's no negotiation, and it's like, this is what we're giving you. If you don't want to take it, that's it. Don't take it, basically. And that usually benefits Leeds and doesn't benefit the other club. So they're coming out then in the media and making it look like they're giving this good offer, but ultimately they're dictating the terms, really. And I think dictating the outlook as well. Then, oh, well, we did try, so it's not our fault. It's not quite as straightforward as that. It was announced yesterday that Coventry also weren't able to reach an agreement. And the reason behind that was the price that Leeds were asking for meant that Coventry would have had to change the banding of the match from a Category A to Category B. And maybe you think that that's not really a big deal, everyone gets to pay less. But they would have already sold tickets to that to their season ticket holders, obviously included in the price, and anyone that's purchased a home ticket for that match already as well. It's really difficult then to sort of say that the away fans are paying less than the home fans. And Leeds essentially said, if you don't do it, then we're not doing the pricing offer, and that is why the negotiation wasn't able to be agreed. So I would rather think it's quite a similar situation why it happened to Swansea and why it's happened to many other clubs, because we just announced we were doing that offer with Stoke, no harm done. So I think there's more to it than just being able to say we should have done more. I think Leeds are being a bit crafty, playing a little bit of a game here, knowing that ultimately they're going to benefit out of it. Because if we say no, for example, they're going to benefit when we go and pay more to go up there. And in the media, they don't look as bad. But ultimately, they are kind of dictating terms and not really compromising. They're not really negotiating. They're offering something, but not really negotiating. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong with my opinion. So you can let me know yours in the comments below. Either way, I think there should be something done, maybe at championship level, to sort this out across the board. So it's not down to teams having to cooperate. It's not down to boards, ours or Leeds or whoever other club deciding where the money should be saved, and the fans should be looked after by certain legislation or rules in the league that promote away travel and promote going to away games, especially in the cost of living crisis where it is getting quite expensive to do those trips. And I guess this is more of a luxury than something everyone can do every week for some people. So I would like to see something done about that, but maybe will, maybe won't. I'd probably say won't, based on what normally happens in football these days, but we will see. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about the matter. Thanks for bearing with me while I'm doing this one on my own. It's not as easy as maybe it looks to talk to yourself for 15 minutes or so, but hope you enjoyed, and I shall catch you in the next video. So goodbye for now.